Hope you're having an awesome day. Are you ready to rewire your brain for multitasking? Actually, I did something really mean. Really mean. You know, like those people that tell you this is what you're going to get and the benefit of it, and in the end, it's not really. It's like they over-exaggerate, or like titles of podcast episodes or blog posts that say one thing and it's like really not what's inside. And then you're like, that was not nice. Well, here it was. Well, here I am. I did that. I always try really hard to be super honest, to make sure you're really clear and really transparent about what's expected and what you're going to get in any of the content I create. But right here, I lied. Your brain cannot multitask. Period. Your brain cannot multitask. Okay. So here I am telling you to rewire your brain for multitasking. But the only reason why I did that was because you would have no idea otherwise what I'm talking about. The only thing that it could do is not the only thing that it could do. The thing that it does do is task. The things that it does do is called task switching. Task switching is when your brain is going back and forth from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next. It's not actually doing two things at the same time, unless one of the things are a mindless thing, but we are not really going to get into that right now. So if, let's say, you are trying to talk to your child and cook dinner and text your husband about something, you are just jumping from one thing to the next. 1 second you're hearing something that your child's saying, another second you are texting your husband, and another second you are frying onions. It's not doing them all at the same time. It's just going really quick from one thing to the next. So what you have to get better at is not multitasking, but staying focused on one task at a time, so that way your brain doesn't have to switch tasks so many times throughout the day, where it wastes so much time and so much energy because it has to restart every single time. Even though it's happening really quickly, it has to use like extra energy to really go and restart. Okay, now why are we talking about this here? Is because Olga on the previous episode said how Pete can't multitask. Well, honestly, no one can multitask. So men, don't feel bad that you can't multitask. Women are just better at task switching. That's it. Okay. Well, you could become better at task switching and could become better at focusing. Here's what you're going to want to do. You are going to want to, first things first, when you have a task to do, you are setting yourself the expectation. You're telling the people around you who might distract you, that this is what you're focusing on and nothing else. So whether you're just checking emails, right now you are spending your half hour every day of checking emails. That's what you're doing wrong. Right now you are cooking. Right now you are doing something for work. You are editing images. You are putting in data, whatever you're doing. This is the task that you're doing. So first, you're making it super clear for yourself. Then what you're going to want to do is get rid of all other distractions. That includes obviously moving your phone to a different room, or at least turning it on silent and moving it somewhere else. Any other devices, any open tabs, clearing your desk, any extra papers that you don't need around you. If you're in your kitchen, it's clearing your kitchen. You don't need extra things around you. You're literally setting yourself up. You're setting the stage so that way you could be successful. Now, this doesn't mean that while you're cooking dinner, you can't talk to your child. No, it's not the point. You may even want to cook together with them, but you have to understand what the expectations are going to be here. Now it's going to be slower. You are cooking together with them. You are using this time that's not so much on cooking dinner, but rather bonding with your child. And that's the expectation over here. Now, for those people that were wondering about things that you can multitask and like mindless thing, is that's when you're not using your brain. So when you're like literally not having to focus and you're folding laundry and you're listening to a podcast episode, maybe this one, or maybe when you're driving and you are not as much listening to this episode, first of all, versus if you were just sitting here and sitting completely focused. And number two, you are not 1,000,000% focused on the road, which could be fine because you don't have to be aware of every single tiny detail around you, because then you would just get crazy. So sometimes it's better to be able to be listening, so that way you could go into it. So that's the answer for those people who are wondering about the mindless things. So Your challenge for today is the next task that you're going to do, whether it is with this podcast, whether it's without this podcast, is going to set the expectation in your brain and then clear all the distractions around you so that way you can focus on this task. And when you're ready for the next task, you can focus on the next task. Go ahead, do that, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now. That's all for this episode of the Life Picks University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.